So we're going to start looking at how you lay out fabric. So this pattern requires, so I haven't got all the pattern pieces out, but this pattern in the instructions that I read thoroughly requires me to cut on the fold. So there's no crossways cutting required. So I've cut some of the pieces out, and one of the things that I've done is I'm actually given them a light press with a hot-ish iron without any steam. You do not want to have water near your paper patterns. The pressing actually, although it feels like another step that is time wasting, it isn't. It will save you loads of time and it really will assist with your pattern cutting and your laying out. So what I tend to do is I go through all the pattern pieces and I look to see which ones are required to be cut on the fold, which just a reminder is where your fabric has been folded down the middle to create a fold line, so that when the pattern is opened up, it's a continuous pattern but there's two symmetrical sides to it. So I put them to one side, and then I put all of the other pieces that have 2 or 4 pieces to cut on the other side. And as again a little reminder, there will be pattern layouts in your instructions, but there will also be written instructions about what you need to cut on the pattern pieces themselves. So I'm going to lay out the pieces that are required to be on the fold, just so that I know that I've dedicated enough fabric space to it. And then I'm going to match the places where it's to cut 2 of. Okay. So here we go. So a nice example here. Okie dokie. So when it comes to pinning the pattern, I like to use long, thin, flat pins. So these are flower headed pins. They're nice and sharp. And they are kind of a medium weight pin, and I like to use them because they sit flat against the pattern. Now when I go to pin a pattern, I like to go up to the corners with the sharp point of the pin all the way across, and then if it's required that I need additional pins along the straighter or rounded edges, then I will do that too. But I tend to go up into the corner so the flat point of the pin is holding everything down nice and flat. So when it comes to pinning things that aren't on the fold, it's nice and easy when you've got a fold line to follow, because it's very hard to get this bit twisted. But you will notice that there are grain lines on the patterns, and you will want to make sure that that follows either the weft line or the warp line. Okay, so what I've done is intentionally chosen a fabric that has a stripe on it, so you can see that this arrow is matching a stripe, and I now know that that is following the right grain line, and that's going to give me a lovely structured piece of fabric. Okay, so don't forget that these grain lines exist to assist you and should be therefore followed. Don't be tempted to go, well, there's a tiny bit of fabric here, so I'll just put the pattern piece like that, because you'll end up cutting something on the bias, which will then add stretch to it and may compromise the quality of your garment. Okay, but you can do that because technically this is multi-directional. So just be mindful of grain lines, and you can overpin. So what we really want to be doing is getting all those corners pinned in. through all the layers of fabric. And then working out whether you need extra pins in the gaps, like so. So now I have pinned everything together, we can look at cutting, but just before we do that, I will just note that we're working on a woven fabric, and therefore pinning is a really excellent choice. However, if you are working with a fabric that likes to retain the holes of a pin, so sometimes stretchy fabric, sometimes very, very fine sheer fabric, shiny fabrics, velvets, they don't like pins. So if you put pins around the pattern and pin it onto your fabric, you've got to make sure that they are well within the seam allowance, or you can use weights. And here I've just got some washers just from the local hardware shop, which allow me to be able to weight down the pattern on the piece of fabric. So we're now going to look at cutting out, and we're going to discuss the benefits of cutting with scissors and cutting with a rotary cutter.